So I've my experience with gynecology started really young, pretty much at the beginning of starting my periods, because I discovered that I didn't have normal periods. They were heavier, far more painful than normal. So every experience from early on I've had with gynae has been because there's been a problem. And so rather than it being this kind of introduction to, oh, I'm starting my periods and there's a different type of doctor called a gynecologist, it was all very, there's a problem, and that when there was a problem, I needed to see the gynecologist. You know, it's interesting because from that moment onwards, I'm 36 now, there was never okay, so this is what this now means. Loosely, there was a loose kind of endometriosis is this, but there was never a what that will then mean in my life. And I've suddenly realised that it's taken me a long time to actually connect a form of attachment to that being a thing in my body. So that experience, every experience really, for the most part, my early experiences and majority of my experiences, gynae experiences, have been associated with problem rather than just let's just have a, you know, MOT down there. The thing with endometriosis is that it can make sex painful. Now, sex full stop for me isn't painful, but there are moments in sex for me, depending on the partner or position, that can be painful. And it just is, right? And it very much is completely and utterly tied into endometriosis that I have this experience with sex. And it took me, I've only been having sex for many a year, but recently for the penny to drop, where I suddenly went, oh, this is not an every woman experience. It's every woman doesn't have pain in sex or positions that I assume, but it isn't an every woman experience, right? Like I said, it hasn't affected my self-esteem or my mental health because I didn't connect, there was no attachment to it. But no one told me to have an attachment to it, to be honest. Like never had there been, from my memory, a moment with a gynecologist where they went, okay, so this is the thing, and it can play out in this way and this way. It's very unique to you and your condition. And other women have that, fine. But you need to prepare yourself or research, or you need to gain knowledge that isn't just general knowledge. And I didn't think to do that until a week ago. But I suddenly thought, oh, let me just research. Let me just research some positions. So the way in which I keep my gynecological self-esteem high is by educating myself, really. And not just, so that it's very important for me to have that information, like when I was talking about positions that work better for me, or more research about endometriosis, the history of how gynecology and plays out for women of colour, but also just like in a pleasurable way. Like I'm in tune with my vagina. You know, I'm not ashamed of self-pleasure. I'm not ashamed of that. So there's the educational side of things that keeps my gynecological self-esteem high, which I think is very, very important. Just in terms of facts and information, but there's also the exploratory, pleasurable side of it. That is singular. It's not that it's come from in my case, because I'm cis straight woman, from a man deciding how to pleasure or what the pleasure of my vagina in relation to what pleases him. I think it's important to have that own exploration for ourselves, and I think women are shamed a lot when it comes to exploring our own bodies and being in tune with our own bodies. So I keep my gynecological self-esteem high by research.